Welcome back to Two Geek Girls. We're coming to you with our predictions for a very exciting crossover episode. If you're watching on VidMe, go ahead and hit the upvote button. If you are on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like, subscribe if you are new, and welcome back. All right, so first off, we have a crossover between all four of our shows that we review highlights of, and Nika is going to give her wonderful predictions on what she foresees will happen.
Well, it's not really predictions on what I foresee will happen. It's just more or less predictions of where I think it's going to go. And it's also going to be a little bit about what I hope will happen. I'm going to start off with what I want to happen. I definitely want the wedding to go down in this episode. I don't want it to be a setup and then at the end they still don't get married as far as Barry and Iris are concerned.
Okay.
I hope not to see Oliver and Felicity get married. Let's see. I hope to see as many characters as we can from other shows. Like, I know we're probably not going to, but it would have been nice if we could see a Martian Manhunter with them.
Okay.
But I understand why not, because of the CGI that it takes to make him. I definitely want to see interactions between all of the tech people, like Wynn and Curtis and Felicity. And then Cisco, I think that'll be cool. I definitely want to see some type of dynamic, possibly between maybe Black Canary, Iris, and Alex is more of the like hold you down women of the show, 'cause they kind of all have a similar type role right now. Now, as far as the crossover itself, I don't know what's going to create the crossover or why they're going to need to go to Earth X.
They haven't really dabbled on that yet. Huh?
No, I have no idea if they're going to stick to the storyline or if they're going to go, because there is a comic book on that storyline, or if they're going to go in a whole nother different direction. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like for the crossover last year, it was standalone too. Like, they didn't have something that kind of went into that mode. It pretty much just started happening,
Really?
if I'm not mistaken, with the Dominators. I can't really remember.
But okay, well, even with the crossover though from last week, it kind of something always happened at the end where didn't Barry come to visit Carr? It was like, oh, we need you, and then that's how.
But that was the first episode of the crossover. I'm talking about like the
No,
week
it
prior
ended.
to it.
It ended where he came to them and said, "We need you," and then it started that way too.
In their episodes. So Supergirl's first episode of the crossover was when Barry said, when she was like, Barry? And he was like, I need you. And then in his episode of the crossover, it started with that same scene. And that's why people used to always complain that it wasn't really a 4-episode crossover, because really her whole entire episode had nothing to do with it. And it was just that last end credit scene, if you will.
Okay, so that's what I remember then.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how it's going to start. But I'm assuming that maybe it might start with somebody from Earth X coming to them. And maybe
And needing help?
either that, or maybe like, something happening with, maybe, with Damien Dark jumping through time so much, maybe it opens up the way for other people to do it. And maybe they like kidnap somebody from our Earth, as in Earth 1, and take them to Earth X, and then everybody has to go. Because I'm trying to figure out why would they all come together. You know what I'm saying? So I'm assuming something like that might happen. Maybe the wedding might start off in Supergirl's episode or something like that.
Because that's how, the Flash ended with her saying, now it's time to get married. Then Legends ended where Damien Dark brings Grodd. And how did Arrow really end?
Nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where we'll start. Maybe the wedding will actually take place in Supergirl's episode, and then everything else will transpire after that. Because it doesn't make sense for it to start with the regular stuff, and then they have the wedding in the middle, and then like the other 2 episodes. You know what I'm saying? It needs to kind of happen early on so that they can spend an episode or 2 probably in Earth X. And then I'm assuming something's going to transpire at Earth X that'll probably bring some of those villains back to Earth 1 for them to have the final showdown for the last episode which I'm assuming would be the Arrow episode. I
That would
guess.
make sense. They
Oh
should
no,
start off with
actually,
everyone at the wedding, and while they're all there celebrating the wedding, that's when something happens. They're interrupted. Then at the end, finally to complete it, they actually have the
actually,
wedding.
it probably should end with Legends of Tomorrow as the last one because they had the Ray Riders, so they'll be able to take those people back to the other Earths and so forth.
Okay.
Unless Cisco advised them back. I'm very interested to see how they do all of the evil versions of themselves, because most of them are Nazis, and then in addition to that, there's some other characters like from the Freedom Fighters that they should introduce as well, like Ray and stuff like that. The Ray.
Okay.
So, like I said, it's not necessarily really prediction so much as just things I want to see and I have questions and thoughts on so much. Is there anything that you want to see?
That is pretty much it that I've mentioned thus far. I was gonna ask you though, what do you think about John Diggle? If he'll be a part of it, or
The crossover?
since they kind of
I don't know. Where they left him in Arrow, he probably will still be possibly recuperating, so he may not be a part of this one the way they wrote his character.
Okay.
But I'm not sure.
What about Thea waking up now?
I guess she'll be there. Yeah. So yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and leave it here. Make sure if you have any thoughts on where you think the crossover will go, that you leave those in the comment section below. It's not necessarily spoilers because we're not the writers of the show, so we don't really know where they're gonna take this. And with that being said, you guys, thank you for the support. Make sure to like the channel and subscribe and upvote. And as always, stay geeky.